Hey, how you doing? So, Juno, North and South nodes, Moon being void of course. These are all really interesting things, but I'm just going to focus on specifically Juno in this video. So, Juno is one of four major asteroids. Astrologically, it represents commitment, marriage, betrayal, the give and take nature of partnerships, the effort to balance the power dynamic between two people in a partnership, infidelity, fairness, and compromise. The thing about Juno is it is enraged by inequalities. It shows us through its placement in our charts where we seek to make things balanced, fair, and right. So Juno can be seen as a hybrid of Scorpio and Libra energy. It deals with the fairness that we seek in our relationships and the balancing of power dynamics. Juno shows what triggers us, but by addressing these triggers, it becomes a place of empowerment. All relationships have struggles in this regard, and working through them is how we make the most of our connections. And Juno, in that regard, is illustrating in what way or which area we are deeply bothered if we are not treated with respect and fairness. So, where does this come from? Like most things in astrology, it comes from mythology. In Roman mythology, Juno is the queen of the gods. She's the wife and sister of Jupiter. She's the goddess of marriage, childbirth, and protector of the state. She was associated with all aspects of women's lives. She's also closely associated with Hera of Greek mythology, who was the wife of Zeus. And in both cases, we see a fiercely loyal wife who stayed in an unhappy marriage with a partner that was extremely promiscuous. And this is where the astrological themes are based. She fought against her own unfair treatment and to regain her own power in her marriage. So, for one example, look at Hera and her role in the story of Heracles, or as most people know him, Hercules. That was his Roman name. But she put Heracles through all these trials and tribulations as a way to spite Zeus, because Heracles was a son born by him cheating on her with a mortal woman. And before he could be recognized as Zeus' son, before he could be recognized as a hero or as a champion, she put him through these 12 tribulations. And every step of the way, she went out of her way to make it as difficult for him as possible. So the way she's portrayed in the Disney movie is not really that accurate at all, where her and Zeus are happily married and they are parents that are looking lovingly from a distance on Hercules down on Earth. No, she hated Hercules. She was not a fan of him. And this is just one story that we can look on for these kind of themes. If you look at Juno's glyph, it's really interesting. It's a star placed over a cross. But to me, it bears a striking resemblance to the symbol of Venus as well as a sextile aspect. And from there, I see a lot of meaning. It's showing the collaborative nature in relationships that she strives for, because a sextile aspect is two planets that are 60 degrees away from each other. And this aspect is kind of like a light version of a trine. These are planets that are supportive of each other. And that's what Juno wants in partnerships, is to find that balance and that support and that fairness. There's the Libra fairness and the Scorpio power dynamic. Also, another fun little fact for you. If you're aware, about a decade or so ago, when NASA sent a probe to Jupiter to study it, and we got the most awesome pictures of Jupiter that we've ever seen, they named it Juno. And that was kind of like a stealth pun by NASA, because if you don't know, Jupiter has like 95 moons, I believe, somewhere in that vicinity. And every single one of them is named after one of Jupiter's lovers. And so they sent Jupiter's wife to check up on him and all of his lovers. And so that, I find that very humorous. But yeah, that's about all there is on Juno. I hope that you found this helpfully. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. I will say, though, that I typically advise people not to get too lost in asteroids. If you just keep plugging in a bunch of asteroids, then you're just going to end up with a chart where you really can't even tell what's going on because you've just got a million things all having lines drawn between each other. I tend to stick with just Chiron, but I'm not saying that it's bad to do asteroids. On the contrary, just don't get overwhelmed trying to study asteroids when you're learning astrology. Plug them in one at a time when you're focusing on them or the areas of a chart that you're like. If you're specifically looking for something and they're relevant, go ahead and plug them in, but don't get in a habit of always throwing in every single asteroid and just trying to always have them up. You'll just end up confusing yourself. um, Typically when I do charts, I only use Chiron because it just plays such a prominent role. But to each their own. Just because I don't do it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. But yeah, that's about all I got today. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.